Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sulfiati from the group of 13. Here I will explain about the romantic period year 2830 to 2870. Romanticism is a way of thinking that values the individual over the group, the subjective over the objective, and person's emotional experience over reason. It also values the wildness of nature over human-made order. Romanticism as a worldview took hold in Western Europe in the late 18th century, and American writers embraced it in the early 19th century. Edgar Allan's poem most vividly depicted and inhabited the role of the romantic individual, a genius often tormented and always struggling against convention during the 1813 and up to his mysterious death in 1849, who invented the modern detective story with the murders in the Rue Morgue 1841. The poem The River 1845 is a gloomy depiction of lost love. Its ironicness is intensified by its matter and rhyme scheme. The short stories The Fall of the House of Usher 1839 and The Case of Amontillado 1846 are gripping tales of horror. The Romantic periods occurred between the late 18th century and the early 19th century. Being called the Romantic era does not mean that all literary works in the era are related to matters of love, romance, or attraction between men and women. However, this period is called the art of romance because in this period the ideas of literary works were dominated by elements such as imagination, freedom of expression, and idealism. In writing literary works, writers no longer use the standard rules set by the august poets. Famous writers in the field of poetry are William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Sir Walter Scott, Percy Bysshe, and John Keats. At the start of the Revolution, public opinion in England tended to be sympathetic to the movement. The British compared the great event of 1789 to the Glorious Revolution of 1688, which ended the absolute monarch's power. Besides that, British intellectuals, especially artists, were aroused by the ideas contained in the slogans "Liberty" or freedom, equality or equality, fraternity or brotherhood. In 1800 in 1793, Britain, together with several European countries, formed a coalition and started a war against France. British rule is in the hands of a man of eternal view at an age of the wings 1832. The land distribution system is an open field system. In terms of increasing production, this open field is less profitable because landowners and tenants are not free to try new methods for fear of failure. This has led to changes in the land distribution system. The division of the land was arranged by good so as to preserve its fertility only. The closed field system is an important change in the UK as agricultural and livestock production increases, although it is undeniable left to small farmers. This increases in production and livestock is important given the UK's rapid population growth. Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I want to continue the material from my friend and I am the second speaker now. Okay, let's start it. In New England, several different groups of writers and thinkers emerged after each exploring the experiences of individuals in different segments of American society. James Russell Lowell was among those who used humor and dialect in verse and prose to depict everyday life in the Northeast. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow and Oliver Wendell Holmes were the most prominent of the upper-class Brahmins who filtered their definition of America through European model and sensibilities. The Transcendentalists developed an elaborate philosophy that saw in all of creation and unified goal. Influential essay by Henry David Thoreau, Walden, an account of his life alone by Walter Pond, was editor of the Dial, an important transcendentalist magazine. During the 1853 as the United States dated toward civil war, more and more stories by and about enslaved and free African Americans were written. William Wells Brown published what is considered the first Black American novel author, and he also wrote the first African American play to be published, The Escape. In France, Ellen Watson Harper and Harriet L. Wilson became the first Black women to publish fiction in the United States. Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom Cabin first published serially is carried with rising opposition in the North to slavery. Emily Dickinson lived a life quite unlike other writers of the Romantic period. She lived largely in seclusion. Only a handful of her poems were published before her death in 1851 to 52. And she was a woman working at a time when men dominated the literary scene, yet her poems express a romantic vision as girly as well, with men of Edgar Allan Poe. They are sharp-edged and emotionally intense. Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Siti Sasmita Umar from group 13, and now I'm as the last speaker, and then I want to continue the material from my friends. Okay, let's start it. Okay, well, the characteristic of English literature in the Romantic period. The literary works of the Romantic period with characteristic that from the slogan, emotion is more important than reason. Nature is the main carrier of happiness. Nature is the best moral teacher. The language of poetry must be the language of the rural people. The slogans originate from the assumption that literature is an expression of individual feeling. So it is subjective in nature and emphasizes feeling more than ratio. A group of writers who defeat the slogan of the August period went into seclusion and lived in the village. They loved the natural world so that there is an opinion from them that God exists in nature. God resides in nature. This assumption is better now as pathos. The starting point of intelligence for the flow of romanticism in England actually led to the emergency of the French Revolution, which is famous for its slogan liberty, freedom, agility or equality and brotherhood or brotherhood. Okay, well, author and workers, poetry. Poetry literature flourished during this period. The names of poets that can be presented are William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Percy Bysshe Shelley, John Keats, and Walter Scott. William Wordsworth, 1750 until 1850. He lived in a district called the Lake District in the northwestern part of England. Wordsworth's love for nature is immense. He held that nature in all its form had a poor soul. Nature has become his religion, and he has earned the nickname Nature's High Prince or Great White Nature. His most hit work is The Prelude, which depicts his childhood life in the hills of Cumberland. Samuel Taylor Coleridge (1772 until 1834). His articles were critical and his intelligent speech made everyone student. He is a very insightful poet. His works are Ode on Destruction of Fleets, Ode to France, Sir Walter Scott (1707 until 1832) is the only prose writer to be recorded within this period. Some of his most famous works are The Lady of the Last Minstrel, 80, 85, and The Lady of the Lake, 80, 10, in the form of historical narrative poetry. Persebice's Sally, 1792 until 1822, was the only son of the landlord who became a distinguished member of the British Parliament. Sally's marriage are aggrown when she met Mary Godwin and the radical reforms William Godwin. His most famous work is Alastor, or The Spirit of Solitude, which hints at the restlessness of his romantic soul, express his failures and pursues both dreams and hopes for tomorrow. John Keats, 1795 until 1821. He is very well known for the praises contained in his poem entitled Endymion, which read, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its love lines increase, it will never pass into noiselessness." Okay, next, process. Unlike poetry literature, prose literature in this period developed very slowly. What is interesting in this period is the emergence of non-fiction literary works, such as historical literary works, biographies, criticisms, and so on. Some of the figures that can be presented are Carlos Lamb, 1775 until 1834, Thomas de Quincey, 1785 until 1859, Walter Scott, 1771 until 1832, and Jane Austen, 1775 until 1817.
a prolific female novelist. Okay, next, drama. This is not the case with written dramatic literary works that come to the surface. Drama has a black period. This was because the middle class, who dominated British society at the time, did not really value dramatic literature as works of art. The characters of the playwright is unknown during this period. Okay, from group 13, just like that. And thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.